Hi there, and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman. Paris Schutz will join us shortly. Here's what we're looking at.
It's a very difficult time for Chicago Police Department.
An 18-year-old is charged with murder in the killing of a Chicago police officer.
These are real impacts that could impact our daily lives and even our ability to live here.
Why some Will County residents have been fighting a major distribution hub.
It's just going to disappear. It's not going to be the same.
Half of the vendors inside the discount mall in Little Village are leaving. We'll tell you why. And a new era of oversight. We talk with 3 Chicagoans elected to serve on the city's first ever police district councils. And now to Paris with our top story tonight.
Brandis, an 18-year-old faces first-degree murder charges in connection with the shooting death of a Chicago police officer. The charges come as the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identifies 32-year-old Andres Vasquez Lasso as the officer killed in yesterday's shooting on the southwest side. WTTW News reporter Matt Masterson joins us now with more. So, Matt, before we get into those charges, remind us everything that went down yesterday afternoon.
So this started around 4:45 p.m. yesterday on Wednesday as Vasquez Lasso and other officers were responding to a domestic call in Gage Park. This woman had reportedly been being chased by a man with a gun down the street. Police officers responded to the scene, and 2 officers there located this 18-year-old who was apparently armed, and they began chasing them. Vasquez Lasso was one of those officers in pursuit, and he and the teen engaged in what David Brown called a close shootout with each other, during which both of them were shot. The alleged gunman was shot in the head and has been hospitalized in critical condition, while Vasquez Lasso, of course, was struck multiple times and passed away.
Hospitalized in critical condition will be in bond court tomorrow, or a representative probably from the police department will be in bond court on his behalf. Break down the charges now that he faces.
Yeah, so police announced tonight that 18-year-old Stephen Montano has been charged, as you said, with first-degree murder stemming from this homicide. He's also facing several other felonies, including aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, aggravated discharge of a firearm, and also 2 additional misdemeanors, including interfering with reporting domestic violence and simple battery. Those 2 are likely charged in connection with the event that brought police there in the first place. Montano does have a bond hearing scheduled tomorrow, but as he has been hospitalized, it's unlikely that he'll actually be there present himself.
And what else do we know about the officer who was killed?
Vasquez Lasso, he was a 5-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department, and Police Superintendent David Brown said that he had a bright future ahead of him. He was married, he had some family that was in the U.S. and also in Colombia, and some of those family members set up a GoFundMe fundraiser on Thursday to raise money for expenses and for other funeral costs, things like that. And they described him as a dedicated and courageous officer who served our community with honor and distinction.
No, very sad situation now for the police department and for his family. Matt Masterson, thanks very much.
Thanks, Paris.
And you can read Matt's full story on our website, including details on the family's GoFundMe campaign. It's all at WTTW.com/news. And now back to Brandis for more of today's top stories.
Paris, federal agents found bomb-making materials at the home of the suspected Highland Park July 4th shooter. That's according to a warrant unsealed today. It shows commercial components used for explosions and a timer were among those items. The Chicago Tribune reports the warrant was filed in U.S. District Court shortly after the shooting, though no federal charges have been filed in that case. In the affidavit attached to the warrant, Robert Cremo III reportedly told agents that he'd considered deploying explosives in that attack, but they were too heavy to carry to the parade. Body cam footage of a fatal police shooting last month shows a man attempting to get up off the ground and run away when he was killed. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability released the video today showing the shooting of 21-year-old Isidro Valverde. Officials say Valverde may have fired a shot as he attempted to get up off the ground when the shooting happened on February 8th in Irving Park. 9 gunshots can be heard in the video, though it's not clear who is firing those shots. COPA says it is still seeking additional videos in the shooting. For more on that, please visit our website. A big endorsement in the race for Chicago mayor. Former longtime Illinois Secretary of State Jesse White throws his support behind Paul Vallas. White cited Vallas's, quote, clear plan to make every neighborhood safer as a reason for endorsing him over competitor Brandon Johnson.
I think that you are the right person for the right job, and not only are you going to take on the job, but you're going to make us proud of the fact that we elected you to this office.
Vallas today also loaned $100,100 to his runoff campaign, which by law lifts the campaign spending caps and allows both candidates to take unlimited contributions. Weather forecasters say you should expect some snow tomorrow or maybe rain, and they're not sure when or how much. How's that for a forecast? The National Weather Service says the weather system heading to the region is fraught with uncertainty. The city could get 3 inches of snow or up to 6 inches, depending on whether the weather system swings north or south. The winter storm watch starts at 10 Friday morning and remains in effect through Friday evening. So that means the Friday night commute will be messier than the morning commute. We can bet on that. There's more of this story on our website. Good luck getting ready. Coming up, neighbors in the Joliet area are saying no to a major new distribution hub. Nick Blumberg with that story right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
Will County is home to the largest inland port in the United States, taking in the array of products that just about all of us depend on. But serving as a major logistics hub has made its mark on the community. Traffic jams, potholes, open land converted to warehouses. When a massive new distribution center was proposed several years ago in the Joliet area, neighbors organized to push back. As part of our Chicago Tonight in Your Neighborhood series, Nick Blumberg reports on where that project stands and why its backers say it's necessary.
If you spend much time on the road in Joliet and surrounding communities, this is a familiar sight. Long lines of trucks waiting to get onto I-80, moving huge loads of cargo every day.
Instead of the entire United States carrying this infrastructure burden, this air pollution burden, the water burden, it is all coming to our doorsteps.
It's not just confined to large state routes or the expressway. The trucks go right through downtown Joliet. When the Kansas City-based developer North Point wanted to open a huge logistics hub in the nearby village of Elwood, some residents and local leaders were up in arms.
My stomach dropped. I probably wanted to puke.
Katie Hunt is a high school teacher who also serves as Jackson Township's clerk. When she saw the initial proposal, the site was right next to her parents' house and her aunt and uncle's farm.
I would always take those back roads, go by my aunt and uncle's house, see who was farming and who was doing what. And the thought of that all being warehouses, it made me sick to my stomach.
Hunt and other local leaders began a grassroots organizing effort, calling on the village of Elwood to turn down the project, in no small part because they've seen the impact of Centerpoint. Elwood brought that logistics hub to town 2 decades ago, the country's largest inland port. On the initial site map for the proposed new hub, Delilah Legrette saw her own house, a house she and her husband bought to move her kids away from truck traffic.
They could not go out in the front yard and play because of the traffic. So, you know, to see it chase us to our new home was very concerning.
Organizers eventually won over Elwood officials and blocked the project in its original form, but it found a home on a smaller plot of land that Joliet annexed from Elwood when a boundary agreement ended. Opponents haven't given up, with arguments coming from multiple fronts.
There are studies that should have been done that they really didn't do adequately. There are a number of streams and creeks that run through this area that runoff would be a very dangerous problem.
Opponents of the project say increased truck traffic will mean more wear and tear on some already bumpy roads, and fear there won't be enough new money coming in for needed repairs to streets and bridges. But the question of truck traffic is one of the reasons Joliet Mayor Bob Odenkirk has been backing North Point.
The infrastructure currently was not built to handle this. It's been really underfunded with all the commerce and all the new business coming to this area.
North Point says part of its plan is to use a closed loop of roadways to keep trucks off local streets, which opponents question their commitment to.
The demand is here. This is a controlled development, try to put some order to what's going on here.
North Point's opponents have also cried foul over the fact that Odenkirk's received $20,000 in campaign contributions from the developer. Other elected officials in Joliet have too. Odenkirk says there's no undue influence.
Political contributions are part of being a politician. Businesses support the elected officials that are pro-business and are supporting them.
The project's also drawn the support of the Operating Engineers Local 150 Construction Industry Union. Mark Polis leads the union's labor management group.
These are jobs that are needed, right? I mean, we saw during COVID that we really went into a consumer spending frenzy where people were at home and wanted things at their fingertips, right? You know, not just the next day, but in the next hour.
North Point has also donated more than $23,000 to the union's PAC, but Polis says Local 150 backs the project because it'll be built with union labor. He also says the developer has pledged not to interfere with any potential union drives for people who end up working at the hub.
These guys gave a presentation that made assurances that not just on the building side of things, but the actual operation side of things, that people would be fairly treated, they'd be fairly compensated.
Despite the smaller footprint of the hub that's begun construction, some neighbors question whether the company has an eye on future expansion.
I don't believe that they have any intention of stopping up in the small section of the city that they officially have approved.
For Delilah Legret, Stephanie Irvine, and other opponents of North Point's development, the fight is far from over. They're involved in legal action on a number of issues, including that the way the project got approved wasn't on the up and up, which company and city officials deny.
They may be determined to build this, but I don't think it will ever be more than our determination to stop them.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Nick Blumberg.
The project has also faced separate legal challenges from the competing logistics hub of Center Point and from the village of Elwood. Despite that, Joliet Mayor Odekirk, who's facing 2 challengers in next month's mayoral election, says he's confident the development will move forward. North Point did not respond to interview requests. Up next, we hear from some of the election winners who'll serve on Chicago's first ever police district councils. What should the city be doing to better support Black Chicagoans who are victims and survivors of hate crimes?
Classic city of Chicago, we work in silos, so the left hand doesn't know what the right hand doing, and the constituents get left out in between.
Power is the voice. The power is the numbers. The power are the people. The ability to sway elections is the power.
It was a pretty standard election ballot on Tuesday, except for the choices at the very bottom where names popped up in races for police district councils. Now, we've had a few primers on these new city elected positions, but I'm sure folks are still scratching their heads as to what exactly this new police oversight body will do. Tonight, we welcome 3 winners in those races. They are Leonardo Quintero, a lifelong resident of Pilsen, elected to the 12th Police District Council. Arewa Karen Winters, elected to the 15th Police District Council in Austin on the west side. And Edison Park resident Colleen Mary Dillon, elected to the 16th Police District Council on the northwest side. Welcome all of you. Congratulations on your victories. And first, a quick primer on what this new body will do. Foremost, it's going to nominate 14 members to serve on the new Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. The mayor then chooses 7 of those. The body will have the ability to search for finalists for police superintendent, set policy for the police department, although the mayor can veto it, and then 2/3 of the city council can override that veto. I hope everyone's taking notes. And then they can hire and fire the head of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, the agency that investigates police-involved shootings, among other things. All right, so I know you're all figuring out all the functions of your new job. So let's start with you, Leonardo Quintero. First of all, why did you want to run for this seat, and what's your vision for it?
Yeah, so my vision for it is to make sure that there's police accountability, but also to bring in a new perspective of restorative justice and bring different types of programmings and different types of services to the neighborhoods, to our districts, and across the city. What prompted me to run was that I have children. I have children in the neighborhood, and they're growing up in Chicago, and they're brown young men, brown young women, and it's like it creates we want safety. We want to make sure that they are safe, regardless if it's community violence or police violence, and that's why I said
support where you can be involved in that safety. Arewa Karen Winters, what prompted you to run?
Yeah, well, there were many prompts, but right now I'm still currently involved in the Chicago Consent Decree Coalition, so that's me working on accountability and oversight on a federal level, but now this gives me the opportunity to work on oversight on a community level. And this came about for me because I lost a nephew in 2016 to a police-involved shooting, and since that time I've been engaged, and I want to see a difference in my police department because I feel like if that shift happens, maybe we can begin to really address a lot of the issues that we're having and that's been plagued in our community.
And Colleen Mary Dillon, how about you?
You know, as a mother of 3, I always I knew what it was like to worry about the safety of my children and the future that they face in the city, and I decided to run because I felt with the advent of this council that it would be something that I could do to help the community and help with the policing strategies and policies. So,
and Mary, as I understand, you're from a police family, so what
Correct.
kind of conversations have you had with police officers and commanders about this board?
you know, my father was a policeman, and so is my sister and nephews. I have a very good outlook on the police. I support them, and I feel that they have a difficult job every day. They go to work, and you know, so we're very positive about it. We think the most important thing is to rebuild the trust between the community and the police, and to move on and move forward.
Arroyo Karen Winters, we mentioned the big job right now are to nominate the people that are going to serve on the Community Commission for Police Safety and Accountability. They're going to be involved in the superintendent search. What other things is this body going to do beyond that?
The district council, so we have monthly meetings where we meet with community members, and this is not about like solely our visions and what we want to bring, but it's really we want to hear from our community residents and what some of their concerns and needs are. Say for instance in my community about the response time. You know, we get in communities when we call the police, or if there's a response at all. So every community has its own issues and problems, but you know our communities have more problems and issues with our policing department, and there is no rebuilding of trust. There is actually trying to establish and build trust. You know, African American communities have never wholly had, you know, trust in our policing department for a myriad of reasons, and so that's one of the goals that we hope to bridge that at this juncture, because it's time.
And you mentioned to me before, you're kind of the outward-facing body here to the community, and then the separate community commission, which you're nominating members for, that's kind of the inward-facing body. Leonardo Quintero, what's your vision? What are the things that you hope to bring to this job?
Yeah, so just experience of building programming, working with young people, working with different coalitions, and just pushing that forward. Being able to bring unity within the districts, within the neighborhoods, and enforcing, you know, a community vision. Making sure that we are able to choose who polices us and how we are policed. I think that's vital because the way that it's currently set up, the systems that are currently at play are more set up to protect capital than protect the citizens that are living in these communities.
Now I should bring up that Superintendent David Brown has resigned or is resigning, so the Community Commission is charged with finding finalists for the next police superintendent. This is an interim Community Commission because you're supposed to select the members of the Community Commission, so I'll throw this out to anybody. Is it your understanding that this interim Community Commission is empowered now to do this superintendent search, or should they wait until you find the members to put on that body?
I don't know if they necessarily have to wait. I think they can start the search, even if the next incoming body, you know, finishes. But I think they can definitely start the search.
And you agree with that? And so it's important for them to get started on that right away.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Colleen, Mary Dillon, what are some of the qualities you're going to look for when you find the members that you want to serve on the Community Commission?
You know, people who are fair, objective, people who want to work with the different communities. I mean, if all these councils have to work together in the commissions, otherwise it won't be a successful, you know, process. You know, so everybody fair and experience and things like that. So.
Arroyo Karen Winters, what about you, and how are you going to go about finding the best candidates, do you think?
Same. People who are experienced, people who are passionate about, you know, bringing change and, you know, reducing crime in our city and violence, but also impacted people. You know, a lot of times we're left out of the equation, and so that this movement provides that people who have been impacted by police in one way or another, that their voices can be at the table.
Leonardo Quintero, how about you? Who are you looking for?
Yeah, similarly. So someone with experience of unifying. I myself have been a victim of police violence, so I do think that there's an important role for people like myself to be in these roles. So when looking for the commission, I think it's important to look at community leaders who have already been doing the work, who have a record of standing up for the community specifically, and those residents that usually are left silenced and muted on the sidelines because they deserve a voice and they deserve a seat at the table.
So, Colleen, Mary Dillon, you've all mentioned here that you're going to have community meetings monthly or perhaps more than that. How do you think you can go about repairing the relationship between police department and between the community?
I'd say listening to the people, listening to there's supposed to be a monthly meeting, a quarterly meeting, and then a yearly meeting, listening to their input, being fair and objective with what they have, and then bring the issues to I believe to the commission, and then they would go to bigger issues. So I think just rebuilding the trust and listening to the people and have a civilian view and find out what their concerns really are, and listening. I think listening is the big key.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Congratulations to you on winning. Very important role now and important work you have to do going forward. Leonardo Quintero, Arroyo, Karen Winters, Colleen Mary Dillon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And up next, the reason why some vendors are leaving the discount mall in Little Village. But first, we take a look at the weather.
The discount mall in Little Village may soon be running with just half its vendors. For the last 2 years, the mall has been in the middle of a battle between the property owner, Novak, and its vendors. Chicago Tonight's Joanna Hernandez has more in this ongoing saga.
It might be the end of an era for the discount mall.
9:10.
That's because half of the mall's vendors have until the end of the month to pack up and leave. Safra Sati is one of those vendors closing shop.
No, I'm ready to go. We don't have any choice, so if we don't have choice, so we have to leave. They give us notice, you have to go.
But you never wanted to leave?
No, of course, we have to stay.
After more than 30 years, Sati is one of 67 vendors who received a letter explaining they have until March 26 to sell their merchandise.
I'm gonna end here. That's it. I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna go like maybe 4 or 5 months in Pakistan. Then I come back. I will see.
The building operated by two separate companies, Pilsen Plaza Corporation and PK Mall. The owner of the Pilsen Plaza Corporation recently signed a contract with Novak Development Corporation. The new lease runs for 10 years with 3 5-year options for a potential total of 25 years. As for the other side, Marta Torres, the manager of PK Mall, says the owner, Imad Kim, couldn't come to an agreement with Novak.
We were trying to do what was right for the vendors as well as the management. When they didn't agree to the owner's offer, we had no choice but to decide to leave.
The disco mall is known to offer below-market rentals and short-term agreements with little to no credit history. Torres says the contract Novak was offering the owner was not sustainable for its vendors.
Very high, and we know that my vendors, they were going to have a hard time, especially nowadays when we're living in a recession.
There are still questions about what the contract looks like for the disco mall operator who renewed his lease with Novak. Torres says there have been talks about the Pilsen Plaza Corporation moving to their side.
The other side signed. They're going to come to our side, and this place is not big enough to accommodate all the vendors. And it's up to him to see if he's going to be able to keep some of them.
Juan Cerate and his daughter are one of the vendors hoping to stay. They've been operating their pet store inside the disco mall since 1989.
Pues estamos mal, nos sentimos mal como que el manager de nosotros no haya agarrado el lugar. Nosotros vamos a hablar personalmente, individualmente, vamos a ir a preguntarle al manager que si nos acepta, pero él ya había dicho que nada más a los que él manejaba son los que se iban a quedar aquí.
In February, Alderman Byron Cicho Lopez sat down with Novak's team alongside city officials to discuss the plan for the plaza.
We discussed that, there's enough room here to accommodate everybody. They acknowledge that, but yet they said, sorry, we already signed a contract. Contracts are changed all the time. So I wasn't born yesterday.
This newly released rendering shows what the Little Village Plaza is expected to look like after renovations. Novak says it plans on repairing the front of the discount mall, which includes the roof, the plaza parking lot with an underground storm water system, among other improvements.
This mall belongs to Mr. Kim. The name belongs to him. So actually this mall is not staying. This mall is the one that's leaving.
Torres has been a manager for PK Mall for the last 30 years and says it's going to be hard to end such a big chapter of her life.
I hope we're going to be able to open another discount mall in the future.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Joanna Hernandez.
As for a name change for the Discount Mall, a Novak spokesperson says it's between the two mall operators. We did ask about plans for the side that's leaving, and we're told the space will be leased to other tenants, but no word on who or what will replace it. Renovations are expected to start in the spring. And that is our show for this Thursday night. Don't forget to stay connected with us by signing up for our daily briefing. And you can get Chicago Tonight streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, WTTW.com/news.
You can also get the show via podcast and the PBS video app. And please join us tomorrow night at 7 for the Weekend Review. And then at 10 o'clock, don't forget about that, 10 o'clock for Chicago Tonight. And now for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Paris Schutz.
And I'm Brandis Friedman. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that's proud to serve its community through pro bono legal services.
American Masters spotlights a bromance for the ages.
I can't believe that he's here now. I can't believe that I know Groucho Marx.
That's kind of ironical that you sit here and pull a bad joke and then blame me for it.
I got the last of Groucho's prime.
On American Masters.
Friday at 8 on WTTW.
Endeavour has captivated Masterpiece mystery fans for 10 years. To celebrate the 9th and final season, we're counting down everything we love about the show, including our 9 favorite episodes, plus what we love about Endeavour Morse and Fred Thursday. Please join us for a special retrospective program entitled Endeavour, a countdown to the final goodbye.
Saturday at 7 on WTTW.
There are so many astonishingly beautiful treasures in the city and suburbs